4 billion of our world's inhabitants spend their days in places like this. But out here, life looks a little different.
How is there nobody here?
Welcome to the wild. It's incredible. We've been out here for months, completely removed from civilization as we know it, aboard our small 30-foot sailboat, Uintah, living pretty simply from the land and ocean, experiencing some of this country's hardest to reach, wild, unspoilt places and untamed wildlife.
Confirmed, definitely an orca.
Oh my God.
In this vast expanse known as the Great Bear Rainforest.
Considering that we're not purists,
Sometimes you gotta head back to civilization for modern necessities, but few towns exist where we are, and those that have tried are now being reclaimed by the wildness of the Rain Coast. Today, we're saying goodbye to the remote fjords where we've just spent the past few weeks, heading back to civilization to resupply.
we need to go provision, get some food on the boat. If we need to do laundry, we need to buy diesel, and we need to get peppers, onions, potatoes, and the rest of it.
Today's sail will see us to the small outposts of Shearwater and Bella Bella, where we'll restock, short stay, and ship out again back to the wild. But first, we'll have to navigate a bit of a tricky waterway.
We're just a couple nautical miles away from Gunboat Passage.
Just trying to make sure that we're identifying the right beacons to enter into Gunboat Passage.
While most boats transit Llama Passage, the much larger waterway to the south, we're taking a bit of a shortcut, one that's only recommended for small vessels. With our 5-foot draft, we should be able to manage it. We'll need to carefully navigate its numerous shallow reefs and rocks. Lining up the range markers is key to transiting safely.
It's kind of hard to see them looking underneath the Genoa, but I think we just need to stay to windward of the one that's on the center island, and then we can round it and then turn back downwind into the pass.
We'll also need to pay close attention to the charts and our depth sounder, or risk running aground. We don't want to end up like the Queen of Prince Rupert, which ran up on a reef here back in '82. Shortcut or shipwreck, here we come.
It's very light winds at the moment. We're going 3.3 knots. This is about as fast as we'd be motoring anyway. Much nicer to sail. We are a sailboat. I think we should be good. This will be our last tack. I think we'll end up being well to windward. The wind shifted, so we are now no longer going to make it on this tack, but we also dropped a knot of speed, so now we'll probably take another 4 hours to get to the marker. Considering that we're not purists and we also only have so much daylight in the day and we have quite a considerable way to go, we might just roll in the Genoa and get into the passage because there's not going to be any wind in there anyway, so we need to motor through it as is.
Approaching Gunboat, we were keeping a keen eye ahead and on our depths, navigating Uintah through the narrow entrance to the pass. Lucky for us, we have a scout with excellent eyesight on the first marker. Transiting the pass at high tide, one might feel falsely comfortable. The pass appears much wider than it actually is, but littered throughout the pass lurk shallow shoals and rocks, like a gunboat waiting to sink your battleship. Because we were entering at low tide, many of the hazards should be visible to us. Fingers crossed. We weren't the only ones using this shortcut to the coast, and because this passage is protected from the effects of the wild weather around here, we weren't surprised to see a few boats tucked away on anchor in its inner lagoons. Carefully weaving through the markers and rocks of this 10 nautical mile channel, we made it through the first narrow passage without too much drama. We just had one more shallow, rock-strewn obstacle course to navigate on the western side of this pass. With all potential hazards now behind us, we were relieved to be out of harm's way and home free, cruising on into the sunset towards our destination and the small settlement of Shearwater. A popular pit stop for boaters in the Inside Passage route, Shearwater has one of everything you need and nothing you don't. A bar, grill, laundromat, post office, and lucky for us, a fully stocked grocery and liquor store. It was originally built as an anti-submarine reconnaissance post back in the 40s, but was then abandoned shortly after World War II. Later, it was purchased and developed into a fishing resort. Today, it's a wilderness and ecotourism destination, owned and operated by the Heiltsuk First Nation. After weeks spent off-grid in beautiful remote places such as this, our senses and perception were so altered, this was a shock to the system. And things here were a bit expensive. We made the mistake of staying overnight on the dock here, so we made the most of it lingering around doing laundry, picking up a meager few provisions, and very much itching to get underway. Drill bits. There's always one of them in the dryer.
Well, it feels really nice to be leaving Shearwater. Conveniently, there is everything you ever need in Shearwater. There's a marine store, there's a harbour, they only have cubed ice, they don't have block ice, so technically I guess not everything you need. But they have laundry and diesel, and there's a pub that has beer that's cold, which is really nice. And there's a big boat with a helicopter on it that's worth $30 million. It's cool to see, but I feel good knowing that they pay more for dockage than I do. Anyway, we're just ducking across the way here to Bella Bella. They have a bit of a bigger store than the store here in Shearwater. I'm gonna grab some groceries. I'm getting kind of close to the shore here though.
We were just leaving the fuel dock and a helicopter was landing on that massive super yacht. And all the crew were wearing their earmuffs and they were like pointing at us. They're like, there's a helicopter! And we turned around and we thought, well, like, what are we supposed to do? There was nowhere to go. There was a log boom and then other boats. It's just like, I don't know if they were just letting us know because it was loud or if they were worried about the thing hitting our mast. But as far as I'm concerned, we've got the right of way here in the marina. It's not an airstrip, people.
In fact, they just came from the airstrip to pick up the owners of the boat and to land them on the boat. So it's kind of an interesting world where there's an airstrip and you fly into an airstrip and then your private helicopter picks you up to take you what would be less than a 5-minute drive to the boat. It almost seems like a waste of the crew's time to like take the helicopter out, get it off the boat, fly it over there to pick them up to fly them back.
They're really busy cleaning that thing this morning. Apparently it is the owners of Bayliner, which is, you know, a pretty big company.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was pretty successful. You see a lot of Bayliners.
So we looked it up and the boat cost
$30 million, and it has an annual running cost of $3 million, which is much more than our boat is worth.
It was funny. It was sort of like Powerboatville back there in Shearwater.
Yeah.
It's just powerboats everywhere. There was so much wake. The wake in here is constant. All the boats were really, really expensive, and we're just the guys like eating baked beans and got our towels strung out all over the boat, so it was pretty funny.
You always know that you're the dirtbag in a big town of powerboats.
Yeah, where are dirtbag cruisers at? What's up, guys? Anyways, really glad that we're getting out of there. It's probably the quaintest, least busy marina you would possibly find in the world. But because we've been completely off-grid for the last few weeks and we've seen nobody, we're just feeling so overwhelmed. We're like, oh, there's so many noises and people and smells and
everything, really.
Petrol being consumed.
Everything.
It's just kind of funny that was like an overwhelming thing for us, but it's a matter of perspective when you're coming from like the woods to that.
Yeah, let's go back to the bush. Let's go get back out on the hook and get away from the rest of these stink plotters. They're not stink plotters, we just call them that. They're lovely power boaters.
They just give them a hard time.
Yeah.
Anyways, come with us to the bush. Let's go back to the bush, people.
Midway between Port Hardy and Prince Rupert, this is a logical stopping point for fuel and everything else, with boat traffic connecting these small island communities to the outside world. Barges and boats converge on this hub from every direction, and riding the wake here was a riot. We also happen to be in the middle of some of the world's most prolific salmon habitat, and as convenient as this all is, the impacts of human activity here can be felt.
So we've just left Bella Bella. Would recommend provisioning in Bella Bella. The prices are much better. The grocery store, which is pretty new, is very well stocked and reasonably priced. The harbour though is a little bit difficult to use as a sailboat, so if you're going to reprovision in Bella Bella, would recommend just dropping the hook there in Shearwater and then either dinging across, or you can take the ferry for like $5. We're now sailing south from Bella Bella to an unknown anchorage, really. We don't really quite know where we're going just yet. Well, I think it would be cool to check out Goose Island over the next day or two, if the weather will cooperate with us. Should be fun to sail south along the coast here. Lots of islands and islets to pop in and out of. The northwesterlies are blowing pretty consistently at the moment, so good afternoon downwind sailing every day for the next week or so. And that is pretty exciting rather than having to beat to windward.
It is a very hot, very sunny day here, cooking hot, and we are in full bikini mode on board.
Nice, casual, easy breezy, blue sky day, relaxing, baking in the sun, downwind sailing. That is what summers are made for.
We are coming in and out of the wind shadow of Campbell Island, I think it's called, and making our way south into Llama Passage. Every now and then we've gotten a gust of wind on the beam, which has sent us flying 7 knots, and then it sort of dies off and we drift in the current for a little bit. But the drifting at 2 knots is a good thing as well, because there are salmon jumping absolutely everywhere right now, and we are hoping to get one on our line. So if we're drifting at trolling speed, that's definitely increases our chances of landing a fish. Also means there are a lot of boats out and about. The waterways are a little bit busy right now. Lots of little fishing skiffs and people zooming by. So it's a good time to be out in the water. What else are you gonna do on a stifling hot day but cruise around and try and catch a fish?
That's what we're doing. We're just cruising around trying to catch a fish. It's time.
Now we have upwind sailing conditions. So things are starting to fly around down below, and we're going 4.5, 5 knots. I thought there was a northwesterly blowing today, but maybe this is part of the inflow winds. I'm not quite sure, I'm not a wind expert, but this is what we got, and it's fun. It's racy, sporty even. Tacking out of this passage, essentially it's taking us out into the open Pacific, which is pretty exciting. Really excited to be back out on the west coast of things. It's been awesome sailing through the mountains the last couple of weeks. You missed those episodes, definitely check them out. Spectacular mountain scenery, turquoise blue waters, hot springs, grizzly bears. But yeah, it's feeling good to be back out on the coast. Plethora of anchorages on the west coast, just archipelago after archipelago. Some are more protected, some are less protected, so we'll be tuning into the weather more regularly to see what's going on and where we want to be plopping our hook. Gonna have to go through our cruising guide to see what anchorage looks best for this evening. Just leaving Lama Passage, coming around the southeast side of Campbell Island, and we've seen a pair of humpback whales. We haven't seen whales in weeks because we've been up in the inlets, and I don't know if the humpbacks are up there all the time, but there's tons of them down here on the coast, so it was nice to see the whales again. They dove pretty close to the boat, which was awesome. Got to see their flukes.
We've recently started contributing to the ongoing studies of these gentle giants by sending our footage and sighting information to MERS, adding to the growing database of Canadian Pacific humpbacks. It was pretty cool to learn that there are over 220 documented humpback whales just in our local area. We are really grateful for their work, including scientific research, which helps us understand these amazing creatures, and their education efforts, which help to reduce threats to these whales and boaters coastwide. For more information on how you can support, go and check out their website, link in the description below.
It really doesn't get any better than this. Beautiful, gorgeous evening sunset. Upwind sailing that's light and breezy, doing 4 or 5 knots, flat calm seas. Absolutely gorgeous. We even seen a couple of whales, so it really doesn't get better than that. Sadly though, we're just getting into the next part of the archipelago, into the McNaughton group here, and you can see the wind lines ahead that are completely diminishing, so I think we're going to roll in the headsail and fire up the engine so that we can motor into the anchorage. It's only like 2 miles away. You can see it just around the corner here. We'll go drop the hook just before the sun sets, I'd say.
We haven't turned on our engine yet because it is just so quiet and still. It's the sound of nothing but birds and our squeaky boat.
Very, very light. We're doing a knot and a half.
It's so nice. What do you think?
It's very nice to not hear any other sounds apart from nature. It's really nice to stay out in the sunshine as long as you can, because once you get into the anchorage, it's going to be shady and cold and not sunny and beautiful and warm.
I mean, this sort of feels like we're anchored. We're just sort of bobbing. Oh, and it feels so good.
The slow moving anchorage.
Yeah.
Tranquil.
Back to the wild, into untamed, unspoiled places like this. Here in the vast expanse of nothing and everything, moving with the breath of the wind, days dictated by the ebb and flow of the tide, living in deep respect of the forces of nature. Out here, you remember that you're not separate from it all. You're very much a part of it. The healing energy of this wild wilderness continues to soothe our souls and transform our lives. Thank you for being here with us. Biggest thanks to our Patreons who make sharing these moments possible. With immense gratitude, we'll see you next time.